This particular video is a video that was shot by the City FM reporter that I mentioned, Mr. Hansen Ajaman, if my memory serves me right. He's a City FM reporter. He's a national service personnel with City FM. He was covering this event or the election there. He was the one in this room. And in this video, you would see that he was standing, I was in the room there. He took a pan of what was going on outside. You would see the ballot box that had been moved from the polling station into the room. And you see the EC officer inside an inner room who was hiding to establish what happened there. I'll just play it from the beginning for you, my lord. So you realize we're inside the room, my lord. That's the ballot box in the corner there. You see it with the seals on it, and that's the EC officer in there holding her papers. And then this was through the room. This was after I had been assaulted and run into the building. At this point in time, it was a free-for-all where we were just being picked up and beaten. This next video also, we've seen as part of a City FM video that shows the masked men and the vehicles. And it shows you the accoutrements they were carrying. Sidearms are seen on some of the masked men. This is out of the... I brought this video because we were told... I've heard testimony before this commission that said that the men in khaki trousers were not armed. But you see some of them carrying sidearms here, my lord. Then, my lord, this video came to me from a gentleman who was our agent, when I say our agent, the NDC's agent, at the polling station when I arrived at the polling station. When I arrived at the polling station, I made the point that this commission has heard testimony that I arrived with 15 motorbikes. I have given testimony that I arrived alone in my vehicle, and there was a second vehicle, a green Land Rover belonging to the Deputy National Women's Organizer, and that when we arrived, we were stopped at the entrance of the premises, and that there was an alighting of the vehicle by the masked men to Mami Efwa's vehicle, and that caused me to come out of my vehicle. He noticed the confusion and started filming from the building where the polling station was. So you would not be able to see my vehicle, but you see that this is the entrance. This is the entrance of the place. The vehicles were moving out when we arrived. So they had finished their presence there. The convoy was actually leaving before we arrived. In subsequent videos, you will see my white Camry parked here because that is after I arrived. But at this point in time, the convoy was leaving.
So your vehicle is not shown in this video?
It's not shown in this video. But you would realize that the convoy was leaving and then it gets stopped. And then the crowd starts massing up there. At this point in time, my vehicle was just behind, out of shot here, because I was driving lead and Mami Efwa's vehicle was behind. You would realize that they begin to alight from their vehicles and walk in that direction. That is when they said they had noticed she had taken a picture of them. And so they were going to her vehicle. I was sitting in my vehicle and I saw the masked men get down and begin to go to the second vehicle, which was Mami Efwa's vehicle behind me. You see them continue to alight and head there. It was that which made me get out of my vehicle because I was driving in some form of convoy, let me say. The two vehicles were moving together to that polling station. So when I noticed that they were all going there, I tried to find out what was. You would see a white vehicle there. So DSP Azugu, I was engaging DSP Azugu here to try to get them to release her phone. And then you realize that they began trooping. After they finished with us at that end, they started running and you see them begin to move behind the building. And that's where that video came to an end. They started moving behind the building. This other video is a video that I said also came to my knowledge that was shot from within the premises of Mr. Brimpong. Now, when I listened to the video, in there you would realize the point at which I arrived at the scene of Mr. Brempong's house, because the person shooting the video mentioned my name and said, "Oh, that is him," and mentioned my name. That was when I just appeared on the scene. So again, the testimony that I had fled into that house after I'd been sacked from the polling station, and that is what made, and then there were gunshots that led to the team from National Security coming to the place. You would watch the video and see that the National Security team was there even before I arrived. So this is from the top of Mr. Brempong's house, someone in an elevated position. You will see the masked men, you will see the crowd of people. That's a woman there carrying a child walking through. That's a woman carrying a child walking through. You see that there are bits and pieces of scaffolds going on between the masked men or the armed National Security attired men and then the crowd that was there. You kept hearing the tasers going off in the video. At this point in my life, I wasn't going to see. So then you hear, "This is a guy I like so much," and my name was mentioned, Sanjay, because that was when I arrived, and I was trying to find out and make out what was going on, what they were doing. It was at this point I noticed the gentleman I mentioned to the commission as Double, who appeared to be leading the team yesterday. And all of this time, there had been no gunshots. No gunshots. This is a video that I think the commission has already seen. But this video again, let me just establish that in the sequence of things, this video was after the shooting incident at Mr. Brempong's house. And then after the assault on the gentleman who I have found to be called Harvey, I know he's called Harvey, who I thought at the time of the attack on him was deceased, that I referenced as saying you can't kill a man in his own house. So this was post that. If you remember from my testimony yesterday, I told the commission that an issue of a key that had been seized arose, and I was asked to walk with Double to the vehicle to retrieve that key. After I walked to his vehicle and the key could not be retrieved, I was walking back. So you realize I was walking right back from outside of the premises back into the premises. And that's when I started saying that this is so wrong.
But no matter how long it takes, this is so wrong. You kill a man in his own house. In his own house. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys. In his own house. Be careful. You kill a man in his own house.
At this point in time, you hear my name twice. So you realize I noticed someone had been assaulted. I was looking at that when a gentleman I have identified as Mohammed Sule, the son of the late Nantonga, who is a resident of Old Fadama, started the assault on me. And then there was a second officer who hit me who was wearing the max glove. I know this video for me was immediately after we had arrived, when Mami Ifwa's phone had been given to her, after I'd approached DSP Samuel Kojo Azugo, and he had resolved that issue. When I noticed the men were running towards that building, this was me walking with him and raising issue with him that, look, why are his men going? He should intervene and stop them from going because we didn't want any issue. I was walking between DSP Azugo.
Please slow down.
So, I'm sorry. I was walking between DSP Kojo Azugo and Double. So you would realize that I was walking by the two people who I established had some level of command and control over the men there. So that's DSP Azugo, that's myself, Double, and the ballistic helmet. And And then you have the other masked men. Now this is the video of the gentleman. And this video was shot after we had left the scene. At the time of the assault, when I deemed that he was deceased, you could see the bleeding even post all of that. He was lying motionless at the time that I saw him, and I left the scene with double. This was immediately after the shooting incident at Mr. Brimpong's house.
Can you play the video?
Yes, I will start it again. The lady who is standing over him is Mami Efua, the Deputy National Women Organizer. That's her. It's come to my knowledge that the gentleman is actually her cousin. And that is how come yesterday, if you remember my testimony, I said that whilst we were walking away, I encountered her coming in and screaming, "Mwekuno, Mwekuno, Mwekuno," to which "You've killed him, you've killed him, you've killed him." At that time, he was motionless. And I had seen the assault on him. So I'm just going to play the video. You see the cement block I said had been used in the assault on him. And my Lord, this video is another video that was shot from within that room where the hiding was going on. In this video, you would see one of the masked men using an axe to attack an unarmed citizen. I'm going to play it again so that you look at it closely. An axe was being used, and you would, if you look at it closely, you would see marks of tear on his shirt from where the axe makes impact with his body. So you see from within the room, that's it. So that's the gentleman who assaulted me wearing the shirt with the security, still carrying out further assault. And that's DSP Kojo Azugo, clearly not in control of the men on the ground on the day. This man was unarmed, and this continued. And that's Mami Efua's vehicle in the background there, the Land Rover. My Lord, this was another incident. All of this was shot whilst the person was in hiding. So you can see it through the window pane. These are the masked men. There again, you see double in the shot. You see more of the masked men. There you see an AK-47 in the hands of a masked, khaki-wearing man. We're told that the operatives do not carry arms. That's the gentleman. This video I said I will show to the commission because whilst watching the commission's hearings, I've heard testimony that suggested that the man was not having blood on his singlet. My Lord, I will play it again from the beginning so that you watch closely the gentleman's singlet and you will see the blood. Again, it was shot from hiding. That's him there, the blood on his singlet.
Just pause it. Do you know who this gentleman is?
I do not know, my Lord. But in going through, like I said, with being one of the key victims of this assault, a lot of video has come of the incident from independent sources who took footage on the day. And many people have shared videos with me, and I've seen some of the things. Again, my Lord, as a member of parliament who has constituents, I felt that this will help the commission in the exercise of your work. But I did see the blood stains there, and I just thought that I should bring it to the attention. And my Lord, you hear the gunshots. I will play that video again. At the tail end of it, you would hear the gunshot. And this was after I had run from the assault. You will still hear the gunshots being fired.
One gunshot.
One gunshot. I think, my Lord, we've come back to the end of the videos. These are the sequences of videos. Apart from the videos, there were a couple of pictures which I also tendered in evidence that I thought could help us with the work, with my testimony. Just a minute, please. These are some of the pictures. This picture I took as a still grab from a video that City Newsroom put out of this gentleman. It was supposed to substantiate the claim of invisible force members that I made in my Facebook post. Because you see him as part of the National Security Guard, and then you see him, there's another picture I have of him, where as a member of the invisible forces wearing full military regalia. His name is Bala. I found out his name to be Bala. There are a couple of them which I would like to show the commission. Okay, these are just still grabs. This was the assaults. Basically, we tried to take still image shots from the videos of unarmed people. Okay, my lord, this picture shows the number of men in each of the vehicles. When I challenged the 60 as the total number of men on operation, they had 10 vehicles. These are just 2 of the vehicles. You see that there are way more than 6 men in each vehicle. My lord, these were some of the masks that were worn on the day. Just a minute, my lord. Okay, this gentleman, for example, is clad in the NSC attire, but I found out his name to be Samuel Ochre, a resident of Kumasi. And he has been seen in pictures of the invisible forces also. So again, another picture to show evidence of what I spoke about. Then the gentleman who assaulted me, I've been able to pick up pictures from his own postings on social media that show him in what appears to be other operations. And I've shared this with the police service because it appears that they keep saying that I was attacked by somebody and they're unable to identify who he is. That's him in there. I've got a number of pictures of him. That's him again, there with other men apparently on some form of operation. Him again. And again. My lord.
Well, these pictures of him,
Yes, my lord.
were taken by
Himself and his friends whilst on what appears to be other operations. But for me, it helps me to, I'm only doing this to aid the security services who say they are trying to identify one of the 2 people who led the assault on me.
So how did you get these pictures?
My lord, from social media, his Facebook handle. And that handle, and if you watch the video again of the assault on me, you would make him out, because he wasn't masked on the day of the assault. He was the one who you'd realize that I pointed at and asked. I mean, I made full visual contact with him for well over 10 seconds. That's good enough for me to remember the man who assaulted me, my lord. So, my lord, this is about all that I wanted to show yesterday, to just aid the commission to substantiate there was this last one I would show, it's a video. This I got from UT, it's a UTV footage. My lord, the reason I'm showing this footage is because, again, it doesn't follow the full sequence of events on the day, but you would realize this scene was shot by UTV whilst the siege on Mr. Brimpong's house was ongoing. Again, I've looked closely. I don't see DSP Kojo Azugo. Yesterday I spoke about a red pickup. That's the red pickup there where I took cover. That's the red pickup. That red pickup bears a bullet hole today from the shooting. And the entry point of the bullet hole was through the back of the bullet. The crowd that was at Mr. Brimpong's house was at the far end, and the national security team was on this end. They were subsequently pushed back by the crowd before the shooting happened. My lord, this video will show portions of the assault on me from a different angle. All of this was after the shooting incident. You see that there were people standing there and complaining, my lord. And my lord, if I take it back a little, just for emphasis, you see that's my white vehicle that is now being parked there. That's the car I drove, and that's my first car. Now, my lord, that is the assault on me from a different angle. You will see me in the green, olive green long sleeve shirt I was wearing, and brown trousers that I was wearing. You just see that. So that's me right there. Whilst the assault was ongoing, that's me retreating. And then you see everybody took to their heels. And my lord, watch. These were people who were all around there. People were standing by and just watching, just like this gentleman. And you saw the brutalization back then. And you heard the middleman saying, it's time for them to run. These were just bystanders, my lord. I'm grateful, my lord.